Welcome back, everyone. Lovely to see you again. So, where we last left off, we were cracking down on the Red Elite. I get shot, not really a problem, and a nasty fight in the hallway with a lizard man. I sang sticks.
Please, Hue, for your sake, please don't sing again. Emphasis on your sake.
Trust me, I won't. Now, we head for the climax here on 35mm. So now we enter the seminar and things start to get crazy.
Don't get too ahead of yourself, Hue. We were talking about me in the hotel.
You're right. How did you get in, by the way?
The people would not let me get into the seminar unless I showed my invite. Not having a cent either made things complicated.
Just like what happened to me in the Red Elite headquarters.
Right. But this time, I needed to play it smarter.
Hypnotism.
That would have been a good idea at the time if the crowd wasn't so clustered. I needed some focus to work my power, but there was too much noise and too many eyes. Lizard eyes.
So then,
I had to seduce him.
Oh dear.
Look, it didn't go you know where. I just don't want to get into detail here. It was basically this. I took one of them somewhere to be playful, and before I knew it, he grabbed my ass, so I grabbed his skull, smashed him into the wall, and stole his identity. That's how I got into the seminar. God, his hands felt so cold.
Oh, you poor thing.
It's okay, I'm fine. Can't say much for that guy, though.
So, what happened then?
Anyways, it didn't seem like much, just an ordinary gathering of publishers, each with their own hopes of making it big. Deep down, I just wanted it all to be boring, safe lecture. Something totally unrelated to what I've seen. A cat could dream, I guess. When the meeting started, they closed the doors and locked them from behind with two huge brutes guarding it. So much for hoping.
For you, maybe. I was happy seeing those janitors. Stuff like that tells me I was right on the nose. Then I got a bonus out of this little shindig. Zeta mother-freaking Grandos, lurking in the dark corner of the room.
Is that the lizard chick I fought in that cave or something? That was her name?
Yes, for you see, Zeta is a rarity. She is, as you saw it with your own cat eyes, the Alpha Lacetilia. She is so rare that not a single image exists of this person. To talk about it was so outrageous, even conspiracy theorists see it as a myth.
Then how would you know it was her?
The name was introduced by the announcer later. It seems the Red Elite is so sure of themselves that thinking about a fake name to hide their covers is not even a thought. Also, come on, Flor Roja, Red Elite. Pride before the fall, as they say.
Oh, at that point, Hugh, I didn't care. When I was in that room, I became like a predator waiting to strike. Do you remember what happened when I was keeping an eye on Phil?
Honestly, the way I remember it was like this. This blind person spoke about Flor Roja, what they do, blah, blah, blah. God, he was speaking more than I do, and that's really saying something. But this guy nearly had me screaming from boredom, until finally patience paid off for me. It was until I heard the roll call, and boy, oh boy, the moment, if I wasn't just looking for that machine, I would have just click, yes, all gone in an instant. The strange part of it all was those rose lapel pins.
I saw those pins too. Each one of them emitted some kind of energy that I never felt before.
When Zeta took to the platform, she pressed that lapel pin, and I'm guessing that it was some sort of event's holographic projection technology.
Oh, my poor Phil. They kidnapped him. I can still remember the screams he made when they were dragging him. I couldn't reach him in time.
Ha! It was exciting! You came out of nowhere, busting heads and breaking necks. I wanted that piece of the action, but that didn't happen. In fact, they started to gas up the place, and like the poppy fields of the Wizard of Oz, some heavy hands grabbed me in before I knew it. I was in a van. I was unaffected by the gas because I can hold my breath for 20 minutes, actually. I think you should describe what happened on your end. The ride, if I have to say, was a snooze fest.
You can hold your breath for 20 minutes. I'm more worried if my Phil can stay alive for 20 seconds after what he just saw. Knowing that I was surrounded by hundreds of lizard men and he was in total danger, I knew muscle alone wasn't enough. And then it all went black the moment I went feral.
Feral? It must be something else. Can you describe it for our listeners?
I can describe it like this. With Phil being taken from me, myself surrounded by dangerous beasts, the stress and rage welled up so much that I had to let go in a burst of animalistic rage while keeping focus. Think of me back then as the Hulk with magic. I pulled in a lot of energy from anywhere I could and quickly bulked up fast. When I let go, I did like a bolt of lightning slicing down each and every one of them. Guess which part I chose to go for.
Yes!
You should have seen me. I really was a beast. So massive, with sparks of lightning all over my body as I took each one of them down hard. Knowing that some were smart enough to run away, I knew I couldn't lose focus on finding Phil. And that's where I found, on the spot, one of those guys wearing the red sash and went after him. I have to admit, he was one seriously fast bastard. He was desperate enough to crawl through the vents. Not much effort to physically rip him out of the wall. I finally got him and got him to confess where they are taking him. It's just, well, even though he told me where to find Phil, I didn't know where to go.
I'll tell you where. It was in that old rotting part of New York City that time has forgotten. No wonder I couldn't even find the hiding spot. I didn't forget the name of the building, though. It read Flora Roja Arrangements. So much for a publishing company, huh? Everything inside was reeking of old linoleum tile. It was the cellar that we're taking us in. As we move downward, as a famous alien has put it, it's bigger on the inside. From what I could observe, it was only, well, a combination of things, actually. One, it looked like they nearly gutted all the underground area, leaving, well, water lines. But the geniuses used those water lines to generate power to the machines they had running there. The tech was borderline insane. Weapons, exchange tubes, intelligence enhancers, and retardation headphones. And guess who were the lab rats? No aluminum foil hats could save humanity from these machines. And sadly, my camera was left behind in the rush. Interestingly, when you came, I saw you, of all people, holding my camera bag.
I found your so-called camera in the wreckage. I don't know how to put it this way, but the moment I picked it up, it started calling out to me. Well, if you mean call, acting like a total sadistic ass. Yeah, it was calling out all right. It somehow fed information into my mind of where to find you, and if I did, so also would I find Phil.
Hold on, you saying that the camera actually led you to where I was?
That's how it acted when I found it. Spared me using my senses for a moment while my body slowly recovered its feral phase, and I'd hate to cut through more lizards in order to catch up with both you and Phil. It didn't give me any details, but it acted like a compass pointing in your direction.
So, you couldn't live without me, huh? When you think you know someone. On my end, I was locked in a waiting cell, counting the minutes and thinking of a plan. In my cell, I paced back and forth, thinking if I can find a way to escape. With me, I heard a man mutter something. Saves. Perhaps your connection to your master and my camera led you to me. Say, did you actually touch my camera or the bag?
The bag. Something about the camera itself didn't sit well with me. The strange feeling it was emanating. I didn't want to trust it all the way.
Good thing that you did. The camera tends to suck the souls of the weak, hence the
Well,
sake.
needless to say, it didn't fail when it finally led me to the both of you. But I had to be silent beyond that point. I created an aura around myself that made it easier to get through the guards and get to you two, as long as I didn't do anything that warranted much attention. Sort of like an invisibility field, minus the invisibility. So even the sharpest of senses wouldn't find me.
I was getting close, and I pretended to play possum. I wanted to find the right moment, and behold, opportunity struck. An inflation pistol, a silly weapon, I know, but effective. Everyone had stopped with the test subjects to assemble by the project. The machine was an insult to that of a woman. The construction resembled that of a mother giving birth, if you imagine.
I'd rather not, but it's too late now.
Trust me, there are worse things to imagine. But continuing on. In the center of the machine was some glowing orb shedding electric bolts inside the fusion tubes, a chair that had electrodes wired so that way they can drain whatever poor fool to sit in it. I heard the lizards hissing with their tongues. Fist in the air to honor their majesty, and arose to the podium was Zeta Grandos. Again, and she spoke like a queen in front of her subjects about for ages they have dominated mankind in the shadows. But however, mankind was becoming a threat. Generations were no longer becoming the ignorant, fearful creatures they once were. The threat was not that of muscle, but of mind. Artists, writers, real musical geniuses, not the crap they readily put on the radio for brainwashing people into consumerism.
Huh. Is that what you mortals also call the dubstep?
Oh, anything on the radio today is virtually brainwash. Except for the public radio, but nobody cares for public radio. I do though.
So what's the freaking point?
Yes. Humanity is beginning to exceed what the lizard race had expected. They thought they could control us by means of the internet. From the sound of it, Zeta first saw the signs that this 4chan was becoming an actual problem. Go figure. Zeta went on to say that the minds of humans could reach this peak of forming a telepathic organism in the near future, a unified mind that will surpass anything ever created. However, Project Encantado was to take this said organism and use it to dominate us once and for all.
Could something like that really exist?
Michael Coley keeps yammering about how mankind used to have a large spiritual organism, but in its time it has become decayed. Something like this, with technology in place of spirituality, could happen again, perhaps with more aggression.
So this machine
Was a success, actually, and one of the captives they took was now hooked onto this machine, and mind you, it's that teenage author that's up and coming, Robert Thicke, I think, was actually plugged in and then given a sedative, a suggested drug, I think, to bend her to her will. And once Zeta gave him the instruction, it was to create the most ultimate power of something like a god. Yes, it was. But once Robert received the instruction, that's when things started to get haywire, almost a little spooky. My goodness. I can remember the pains of distress that machine was starting
For
to...
heaven's sakes, don't describe it that way.
Right. Once the smoke had cleared, all she pulled out was a slim bikini, and...
What?
Oh my goodness, I gave my cover away because I couldn't stop laughing. Yeah, teenagers, you know.
The machine's demonstration was just the open window I needed to get close to Phil and break you guys free, but I knew that it had to be stopped, much to Phil's protest to leave it to the authorities. But knowing me, I was never one to leave it to the pros. What you thought was comical was going to get serious fast, and I knew it wouldn't be hiding for long. So you obviously know what's going to happen. Here's a hint for you internet overworlders just listening in. Involves using these.
And what a gun show it was! There you are, bursting through with such might. Once the bodyguards took sight, each muscle of yours began to grow tighter and bigger. They never saw you coming. For me, I made it for the inflation gun. Zapped a few lizards and watched them pop. Nothing like a good old game of dig dog.
I can't believe such a dumb weapon even exists for you to use it. I thought it was much cleaner just to slice him like I did. I didn't have to get the entrails on me like you did.
But that's the fun part, Saberhagen.
I can't say I disagree. It was nearly a blast for me cutting through each of their troopers on the way to their queen, focusing on saving both Phil and the world. Hard to do that while a certain someone was busy popping lizards like balloons.
I think my top score was 24. Yeah. Besides, let them have a taste of their own medicine. Ha! Anyways, while you were playing Iron Chef, I made my way back to the prison cells. Most of the prisoners were coming around. I managed to wake them up and gave them a gun. And told them it was open season for lizards. But I didn't get to Phil. In fact, I did see him. He looked a little weak. So he was safe inside the cells. I would have come back for him. My business, however, was with the queen.
So was I. I knew she had to be responsible for what she did to him. I was going to bring the whole party down.
It looked like she was a miss from the party. That's the problem with lizard women, and they're so distant. And that's when fate has brought us together. Well, something like that. Anyways, like I mentioned before, I saw my camera on your shoulder. You were a bit preoccupied with that face, and but I did what any brave man did when he is in the presence of a goddess. I went up and said, "That's my camera. Can I have it back, please?" With my hands up in surrender, of course.
You're lucky I didn't snap you with a lightning bolt. If it wasn't for your camera pointing towards you, I don't think we'd be talking right now.
I stood worse.
The strange thing is, that camera of yours, when I gave it back to you, it let off this strange aura. Almost like it was happy to be back with you. From what you've been telling me now, why would you think it would be happy?
Don't ask me. I thought that thing hated my guts. I know I do. So it was pretty apparent that you and I had a common enemy. It was even more understood when I took one picture of the lizard grunts. Bye-bye, Red Elite Scientist. Bye-bye, Red Elite Gods. No need for your kind in my world.
At least from that, I knew I had an ally from all those enemies. At least that camera of yours kept talking us towards the stupid queen.
God, I don't remember. There were so many catacombs. In fact, I was actually more intrigued that the more we proceeded to go on, article of clothing were left behind, and I nearly stepped on Zeta's stiletto heel until we had found, even this is gross for me, human skin. It was at last we found her. The area looked like it was sculpted like some brilliant mason work. It was so crafted to the T, so perfect. It was like a masterpiece version of the Acropolis, maybe even a finished or a resculpted. I'm getting a little sidetracked. God, I wanted to look so much more into this. But, lo and behold, the Zeta was right there in front of us. In full lizard form, like an iguana, if you had to picture it. I laughed again because oh God, she was wearing that stupid sling bikini. Contrary to Doctor Who, Google image search, and especially you, deviant art, lizard women do not even have two breasts, no mammary glands. Yeah, if you need a description out there, it's more like a single speed bump.
Hugh, I'm gonna throw this sandwich at you if you keep going on about this. It's just disturbing.
No, dude. I just love it. It's lighting up. What a joke.
Whatever. So she went on her typical evil bad guy spiel, but I cut that out quick. This whole place would be coming down like a house of cards. All it took was the snap of my fingers, and this massive ball of energy swept over the catacombs. At first you won't notice the first cracks, but then you'll start to hear a busted pipe here and a fallen section of a tunnel there. Before anyone can notice, the total structural collapse is imminent. You should have seen the look on her face after I flicked my finger on a column. I turned back to get Phil and the rest of the mortals out of the underground.
Leaving me behind with Zeta. Thank you very much. That's all right, though. I forgive you.
I came back to get you, didn't I?
Yes, you did. But at that time, something very wrong was happening. Well, first, a large boulder fell on top of her. I thought it was over. I thought that was it. Pack your bags. We won. I was about to make a run for it, but then I heard the growling. And then there was this immediate growth spurt of muscle. She had flung that boulder towards me, and if it wasn't for the camera, I would have been dead, I think.
Then when I came back, it was like time had stopped. Her muscles, her size, it was growing larger. Every step she took, she grew 4 feet.
Do you remember how her eyes glowed like the inside of a reactor? That tight sling bikini had melded with her body. It formed a symbiotic bond with her, becoming more like a blood-red tribal tattoo from her bald scalp. The spiny hairs had become longer. She had us in her grasp.
She insulted me and belittled you for our efforts to stop the project. I think with each second she was reaching closer to becoming a god, so she just tossed me away from her with a single thought.
How unfortunate I had the pleasure of being stomped on like a cockroach many times. I could see you rising from the rubble she tossed you, and even with my damaged eyesight, I could see you weren't playing anymore. Internetland Saberhagen here had unlocked that potential she was mentioning earlier.
Nobody insults me, Hue. I had enough. I used all the power I could summon to stop her from even reaching that point. Which meant a way to deflate her powers. It wasn't a pleasant one, Hue. I had to act like a siphon and absorb her powers like a sponge on steroids.
It was incredible. The size you were becoming. My God, I felt so out of place in a room with titans. At least one true titan. Zeta was shrinking, not only losing muscle but size. No matter how hard she tried to escape, your claws were lashed on deep. I cheered on for your victory. And then I saw what Zeta was doing. It's the strategy these bastards always been using on us humans, making us think we have an edge. Her tail has shifted into a hydra, clamping onto your body. And then, that was when she was growing again, and feeding off your power, doubling the amount from before. I saw you had increased your efforts, but she was growing more tails to counter you. Then she was about to reach the Omega point with your own powers. With every broken bone in my body, I lifted myself. I raised my camera. It was a gamble. You see, my eye was damaged, and the camera cannot take pictures of something beyond the lens's powers. I had to run the risk of killing you, and if you were in the frame, I did want to do it. But I had no choice. I needed to at least try. All it took was timing. I dragged myself until I was right underneath her fat lizard ass. Enough that you wouldn't be included in the frame. I took the shot. The rate you have absorbed her power, she has shrunk so much she has vanished from existence.
Fat lizard ass. But yes, I really did appreciate the support. But you were right. The more energy I pulled, the more she ended up creating, making herself even stronger. It was like I was being consumed by my own power. Never in my life had I had to fight so hard just to keep my balance. I didn't step on you, did I?
Once, but that was after I took the shot and your muscles became engorged.
Sorry.
All's forgiven.
Man, how could I forget that moment? I had all that power building up inside me. I was becoming less like a titan and more like an overloaded battery. So much I could barely wrap my arms around myself from the pain building inside me. I just couldn't contain it in me anymore. So I raised both my arms and released that scaly bitch's energy like a beam of light. I still remember the aftermath with the news reports of a large white beam shooting into space. It was awesome. Better than risking exploding.
Indeed it was. Or once you had deflated, you returned back to your old big blue self and pulled my keister out of there through that giant hole you made in the ceiling. And finally, the threats of evil machinery was all destroyed. Save for this.
Oh my god, you kept that stupid bikini.
Never know, might come in handy one day for a certain werewolf I know. And besides, I tried to destroy it. Not even a 10-hour acid bath did the trick. So far, I just keep it as a rubber band for my files.
Just don't let that thing leave this office.
That's a promise. I never been more grateful for you saving me that day and stop that evil menace. I couldn't done it without you.
You helped, or that camera, helped me find Phil. It was my own way of saying thanks. He was still tired out but made a full recovery thanks to my efforts. Though I don't think he'll be looking for any opportunities from questionably named publishers for a while. Things just got back to normal and he's still looking for that spot literary fame someday. Until then, he's still got me to protect him.
Well, on that happy note, I would like to thank Saberhagen.
Look at your safe.
Saberhagen, don't move.
Hugh, what's going on?
I forgot to place the seal. Every 24 hours, I place a magic seal to keep it from escaping the safe. Right now, you are an open target.
What do I do?
Destroy it.
What about you? Wouldn't you die too or something? Don't you need it to protect the world?
Miss Saberhagen, I have lived too long, died too many times. All of it to protect the world. With good-hearted beings like you. With love in your heart, I can rest in peace. Despite the lens for the sake of good, the lens is pure evil. That evil needs to be destroyed.
Are you sure?
Shh! Listen. To your left!
Yeah!
Whatever you do not take the lens cap off.
Sorry, Hugh. I want to be the last thing this abomination will ever see when I crush it with my bare hands.
No, don't!
This thing, it burns, hurts so much. All the souls screaming through me. But I can't stop now.
Let go of it!
No! I can't. I won't. Not after seeing what it's done. I thought it was just a bad apparition, but now I see it for what it really is. I won't hurt anyone anymore. Yeah! I can see. Oh my god. What is this? Oh! My eyes!
No! Let it go!
I will not let you
Destroy.
me. Hue is...
I demand you release her.
How I waited. I waited so long for a body.
Where's my bloody medallion?
Look at me.
Age of Astra.
We are the only ones that remain.
We are partners bounded beyond life.
We are the devourers of universes.
No, you lie.
We will. Get dunked, bitch.
Saberhagen, I know you are listening in there. Fight her control. Think of Phil. Think how much he cares about you.
Phil.
Will live inside me.
No.
Saberhagen, I know you can do it.
Won't be hurting anyone
it's over. Miss Saberhagen, for all that is holy, are you still with me?
Phil, are you there?
It's me, Saberhagen. Hue Contrast.
It was a nightmare. Hue, the evil...
She's repairing herself.
Hue?
I never meant to put you through that pain. I honestly forgot. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It wasn't your fault, Hue.
I really believed it was all over for that second. For that brief second, I hoped. I was a fool.
At least I tried. But I saw it, Hue. I saw everything. The lens has a long history of suffering that stretches for eons, even as far before humans came into existence. But I think for now it got the message. It can laugh now, but it would only be a matter of time before its end will come.
Did you get an idea of why, of all people, it picked me? Here, hold on. Here, I found the kit. I found the medical kit.
Thank you,
Please,
Hue.
Help you poor thing.
Somewhere in the visions I found someone, in the past, that looked just like you, but younger, fighting against that spirit, even defeating it, but that's all that I can get. There's a huge gap between that and your current situation. That gap began with how it defeated the first time. Simply just crushing it was just a delay.
So, I am the bearer of the curse. A weapon only I have the means of destroying it, but I don't know how. For years I never had any insight as to what it was. Maybe I'm not really Hue Contrast after all.
From the looks of it, it's less of a curse and more of a sign of petty revenge. Spirits have a tendency to not get over themselves when taken down by mortals.
Will you be alright?
I will. Glad that this time I didn't flex too hard, or else I would need to ask for your bedsheets to cover over these pythons.
Despite all this right now, I'm still very pleased you came here. We have still more stories to talk about. Especially one of the sticker men. That was indeed an experience. Alas, for another time. Anything you want to say for the audience?
Give me a sec to focus.
Yes, certainly.
Listeners, I normally don't do this, but if any of you are publishers or literary agents, please give my Phil a call. Trust me as I say that if his stories can impress a goddess, it can certainly impress you. As for myself, I hope you enjoyed my tale and origins, sans the painful part with the demon lens. The next time you see something out of the ordinary, even beyond your little mortal mind, there's a good chance it might be me. So keep an eye out. You never know.
You heard the lady. Once again, thank you for stopping by, and to you out there in internet land, God bless. Come on. I'll take you to Denny's. It's the least I can do for what just happened.
I hope your wallet's big enough for my appetite after what I went through just now.
Hi, this is Jon Geist, the show's creator.
This project has been co-written with Xenny Diemes. The character Saberhagen is also copyrighted to Xenny Diemes respectively. The voice actress for Saberhagen was provided by the very talented Erin McDonald. Sound effects were provided by the freesound.org organization. And the intro to the Bizarre Blogger was done by the beautiful Yui Hisaihi. The artwork for this title card was done by G the Bird. One last credit goes to you, the listener, for tuning in to this episode of Bizarre Blogger. Take care and have a very pleasant night. Pleasant night. Pleasant night.